Hello, and welcome to our virtual annual discipline meeting for the 2023-2024 year. For those who may not know me, I'm Dane Lamont, the School Partnership Specialist for Penn Highlands Dual Enrollment Program. During our fall 2023 semester, we resumed our in-person ACE discipline meetings at the Penn Highlands Richland campus. There, our college liaisons were able to hold live sessions with our ACE instructors to discuss specific topics related to the disciplines that you teach. While we understand that it is not always possible for teachers to attend the live meetings, these discussions were recorded so those absent can gain the benefit of the event. Please enjoy the recording of your annual discipline-specific activity, and we look forward to working with you in the fall and hope you can join us in the next ACE discipline meeting. Thank you.
Okay. So some of you had visits this year, some people didn't. Probably the only new aspect we have is our assessment probably has gotten a lot easier than the old way that was there. At the college overall, we're having our middle states accreditation in 2 years. So we have a new assessment system called Weave that we're going to be doing. And with Weave, instead of like before, you guys would have to report back like how many students you had and percent and everything. Now we have a nice little form, and Rob had one that's there. It's a 1-pager now. Okay. And I just send it to you. It'll have the one question on it that you need, or the one lab report, and then there's just the bottom of the form that you're going to fill out, and then you send that back. You don't have to send an A, C, or an F anymore. You don't have to send any artifacts anymore to us. So it's just that 1-pager you'll have to send. So that makes it a lot easier that's there for it, because it's a new system where we're inputting that. So overall, from what you've done in the past to this year, is different. That is there for it. So that should be nicer. Anybody retiring in the next year who won't be with us in the following year? No, not yet. So yeah, well, that should be good though. So because we'll have the same procedure next year too. It's there for it. So that'll be fine with it. All right. Do you guys have any other questions on the program? You guys are all like old hats at this because you've been doing it for so long. And Dan was here, but he was here and gone, and now he's back. So it's not like he doesn't know.
Not by my choice to leave, but
right.
Definitely my choice to come back.
Right. So, and we're happy to have you back. So I like my trip to Gateway and Central. I actually like driving out today. So I was like, oh, this is great. I get to get out and go see different things. So it's kind of fun to do that.
Do you think the next gen science standards are going to affect anything? That's coming out in what, 2025?
Is that when it still is? I didn't see if it was still slated. That's what I knew. They haven't changed it. Does anybody else know? 2025 is when. I don't know.
I can't see how it would affect it, but
yeah, I don't think, because it should still be
the content should still be the same.
The same, right? Yeah. Like the learning objectives to be the same, whether we have to adapt anything on our syllabi. I know one of the things, because you teach A&P, who else does A&P? One of the things with A&P, between our A&P 1 and our A&P 2, we might be moving some learning objectives. That won't happen until the spring. And we're moving them perhaps because of comments coming in from our partners with nursing students who take our A&P, and where they want to see some content moved up. So the students go into A&P 2 with a better knowledge base. It's going to be like 1. But we're not sure, but we would let you know if that happens, and then how it would affect you. So it just might be some more, maybe a little more content to put in. But yeah, other than that, I don't know how and honestly, with the gen ed or the next gen standards, I personally think like it's just like everything else. It's going to take, like they'll come out, and then 3 years later, everyone will catch up, and they'll be like, "Oh, we're going to change this a little bit." Yeah. And it'll like, oh, okay.
Drag the feet a little bit, not make any changes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's like, we'll sit on that for a year, see what happens, and then go from there. So, other changes that we've had some of you might not know, so in the past too, I'm actually the division chair of health, biological, and physical sciences. They make really titles long here for stuff. So some of the changes in the sciences, if you didn't know, we did just hire a new bio faculty person who actually was an ACE liaison, ACE teacher from Glendale. So he's going to work out of our Blair office. Teaching A&P is one of them. So because I figured some of you like you don't want to travel to Blair every day. So that would have been bad. So that came open. Right now, we have nobody to teach any of the chem classes here, which we are struggling with. That is there. So we teach a health chemistry, our 115, and then Gen Chem 1, which is our 120, which the high schools also teach. And we can't find anybody at this point to teach it. So we don't know. Who knows? I might be teaching some chem because they're like, how many chem classes do you have? I'm like, I only got 12 credits of chem on my transcript. So they're like, might do it. I'm like, yes, let's just teach one more prep. That'll be great. So what's that? What'd you say?
So you gotta give something up.
I know, I don't know. I have a lot of favorites though. It'd be hard to give something up. But see, actually I shouldn't say this because I know this is recorded here, but that's my game here is like the more that I'm in the classroom, then they can't have me do like other stuff. So I'm like, oh, I teach all day long. Sorry, I can't do any of your stuff. So yeah, I know. So I'll be like, edit that. Well, the guy who does the editing, he's my office mate. So I'll be like, let me see that. I'll be like, let's cut that out for me. So great. So, but as far as other changes at the school, we are offering our physics 1 and 2 this summer. So if you have kids that's our 110, which some of you teach, that is there. So that is going to be offered this summer for the first time in a very long time, mainly because we don't have the students to go into it. And it was always a low enrolled class for it because, again, as you were saying, nobody wants to take physics because it's hard and you don't want to do those kind of classes. So we'll see what happens there. But as far as a college overall and classes, that's probably the biggest changes we have. A&P might make some changes. Other than that, any of the syllabi should be what you've seen before. So it shouldn't be too different for anything. So that should all stay the same. That's there. Any other questions you can think of? Okay, so I had to have a conversation starter topic. So I came up with one. And my conversation starter topic is, are your high schools doing anything in regards for science remediation for students who are not coming ready to the upper level sciences that are harder? Or are you seeing that kids just aren't taking the classes as much anymore? Because I know we have a definite problem here that with these students coming in, they are so underprepared for most everything. If it is not black and white, and if it is not spelled out, do step 1, step 2, step 3, we can't do anything else. Like there's no thinking. So are the high schools doing anything? Are they seeing the same thing? Do we have any hope in the next 5 years of seeing a different student? And go ahead, you guys can. Whoever wants to start the conversation.
Good kids are still good. The middle kids.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
You know, my physics class, I have top 8 kids at school, so they're great to work with. But like I teach still normal statistics, so I'll get some middle of the road kids. They can't, you give them one thing, they can do it. If you change one little thing without telling them, they're lost. You know, they can't think on their own. I don't know. I think they have it too easy in some classes and aren't made to think.
Everything's handed to them.
Yeah.
I know we get a lot, and I'm not picking on Johnstown or anything, but you know that I teach the Johnstown students too. So they're like, oh yeah, I missed that quiz. I said, I know it's a 0. I don't get a retake. No, per my addendum, That's what it says. Like, and they're just baffled by that. Like, they don't even understand. Like, are you allowed to do that? Yes, I am. That's what it says. So, that's something I run into too. Is that a problem where they just think they're going to be able to make up assignments all year with you? Like, it was done 2 months ago, but just going to keep making it up.
I know it, but almost because we are told we have to do that. It's not, there's no, hey, it's your loss. You missed it. You didn't turn this in, whatever. If they're failing, then it comes back to us of, hey, how come they have all these zeros? Well, they didn't turn anything in. Well, how about you think about letting them turn it into a partial credit?
Here.
Yeah.
So it's more of an administrative,
Yes, so that you don't have a
Like,
lot of
regular.
failures, so parents aren't calling us.
right?
I'm seeing a lot of stuff that was kind of implemented during COVID to kind of help these kids get through that period of time. Has now become the culture and something that they're so used to that they don't want to take it away. Like in my district, we're not allowed to give anybody below 59%. So if they fail the course, they fail with a 59. They don't fail with a, you know, so it's like they have to be able to have that opportunity in the next grading period to get a 61% to pass the course. It's like, you know, there's a lot of that, you know, all those accommodations and those adjustments, and even like accepting, you know, you get the same type of thing. Well, is there anything we can do to help them get through? Can they turn things, you know, try to still turn things in to the point where it starts to become a losing battle? I try to like stay with that program to start, and then I just take, not with my college classes, I'm talking more of my other students. In the college classes, you know, my kids are pretty good.
And probably like a lot of your college classes aren't technically starting here. They're probably going right to the 4 years. But the kids that you're talking about are those middle kids who would benefit from starting here because they don't know what they're doing, but they're so underprepared that's there for it. Yeah, it's sad.
I know, like in our middle school science, and I don't know if they're called FOSS kids is what they use. So it's like all like explore. So, you know, that's kind of what our big push is to let them explore. Don't tell them what to do.
Yeah.
But if I would let my kids explore and not, don't have any background to know what to explore, to know what, so even some of my, you know, AP kids are, if I said, go figure out what's going on here.
Those next gen students.
Yeah, they want you to go
explore,
but they don't.
You review new textbooks, that's what they're all based on.
Yep.
Explore physics.
Yeah, they give you
explore
some kind of
science.
phenomenon, you supposed to.
Yes. Let them
So let's
go.
give a picture, like explain photosynthesis, there you go.
Yeah.
They don't have the background knowledge.
To do that.
Right, they don't have the background knowledge or,
Sure, they can copy and paste some stuff and put a report together, but
but
do they understand any of it?
yeah, so
That's my biggest problem. We're just Googling our homework and it's not matching up with mine. And I'm like, what did you Google? First of all, why are you doing that? When you give them what they need to do their assignment and they won't use what you put in front of them. They won't open up their book. They won't use the resources. That's what I'm struggling with right now. They would rather just go Google it and wing it and do it as fast as you can and slap it together and expect a good grade. That's my problem right now. Struggling with that.
and do you find out with like homework that you give, like, cause it's almost, you can almost find every problem out there unless you're creating your own problems.
Right.
That problem's out there somewhere that if they don't know, they just look it up and put the answer down. I mean, I don't know, do you create your own?
If you ask them to show their work, you know, because if we get the wrong answer, at least we can go back through and figure out, you know, that's what here's a strategy, right?
Yeah.
If they just give me an answer, they don't get credit for it because I don't care if it's the right answer or not. You didn't show me how you got that answer. They
Right.
get very upset with me on that, but I'm like, listen, that's what we're doing. Because I can't trust that you just copied that off of somebody else. Like you're not showing your work. You're not showing me you have any knowledge of how you got this answer. So it's a fight.
Did I tell you the email I got from the student? So astronomy's online here. And one student actually sent me an email that said, I couldn't find any of the answers on your exam when I Googled them. And I said, that's because I don't use the textbook questions and I make them up. And the student was like, what am I supposed to do? Study. I said, believe it or not, I can map every question to a PowerPoint slide. And I said, you can find it if you open the PowerPoints and you do the work. And I have that too. Like, I love this one. After the first astronomy exam, I get the same answers, which are wrong for a couple things. And I know the site. So I emailed the student, I'm like, here's the site you got for these three answers from. If you could stop using them, that would be great. And look off of mine.
Sure.
Like, it's just ridiculous. But here's the problem. Sadly, higher ed though, helps that because we use too many third-party tools, which to your points, everything's out there. So everything's Pearsonized that's there for it, or McGraw-Hill. And then you have everything. So these kids don't have to do any work that's there for it. So when they come to a physics class, that I've made problems for, or something, or make them use themselves for like labs to like figure out what their acceleration is, their velocity is. They're just baffled. They're like, where do we start? I'm like, we're going to figure it out, but it's just crazy that they can't get there. So it is a struggle, but I don't think we do them favors here sometimes in it. What about like, are you guys seeing a lot of the chat GPT problems in the high schools?
In English.
I haven't seen, I just don't, I think they're too lazy to use it even, to be honest, with it. They can't even do that right. I mean, it's just because we had a big meeting here that they were very concerned, all the faculty was very concerned that it was going to take over the college and no one was doing their own work. And I can like show them stuff they write. I'm like, if ChatGPT is doing this, and it's the dumbest tool I've ever seen in my life because it should not be able to write like this. So it's interesting. I haven't seen it, at least in science. I don't know about the English people, so it's there. There it is. Interesting.
It's more just still plagiarism. They think they can copy and paste whatever and not change a word, and then I'm gonna accept that. And I'm like, explain, what that means to me. I have no idea. And I'm like, yeah, sorry, I can't give you credit for that. And I don't think Bedford's doing any kind of remediation stuff yet, to go back to your original question. And I think our biggest problem is just, our admin and guidance people have made it too easy for them to opt out. You fail that first test and go complain to mom, and mom and you go to guidance, and you're doing it online instead of taking it in person. And it's just like, gosh, yeah, you're just setting kids up for failure when they want to do something higher ed.
Yeah, they can't cheat their way through everything is part of the problem that they've been accustomed to doing for a while now, and they don't know how to get around that piece of it. So it is quite interesting. I do visit, I will tell you though, I've been to St. Francis, I've been over to UPJ, talking to different faculty members, and they're still seeing a lot of the same stuff in the sciences. They said these students in lab reports, they don't even know what to do with them, that they're so poor with their writing skills on how to write lab reports that they don't know how they're going to get to A&P2, to Bio 2 at some of the four-year colleges because they don't have the right skills. They don't even know how to make a hypothesis because, to your point, they don't know what to ask because they don't know what they don't know. And it's like, wow, how did we get here?
You and I had that discussion over the summer. Like, I didn't make my kids do like full-blown lab reports because I didn't want to grade them. Like because the way AP is set up, every one of the questions is create a lab. So with my AP kids, like, hey, you're going to start from here's the hypothesis, you go create it. But the other kids, like, we can do it. If I can do a lab report, but you and I have talked, and I'm like, I probably need to start because these kids are going, and like you said, you've seen it. They can't make one, and then you send it back to them and kind of help them on the way. But if they want help, they'll fix it and figure out what they're doing. If they don't, they'll just turn in whatever. So I know I'm doing my students a disservice by not doing full-blown lab reports. I don't think any of the science teachers at Windber are making their kids do full-blown lab reports.
Yeah, I think it's nobody's fault that a lot of the high school teachers just don't realize how important that is when they're going to the four-year colleges. And then, and what's really interesting is these four-year colleges, well, I was at St. Francis. St. Francis has tons of seats open in PT, OT, and PA. 5 years ago, like, because I know when my daughter was looking to St. Francis and we went up there, they were like, this is a competitive field, like before COVID. Now I went up there, you could go in probably with a 2.7 or something, because they can't fill the seats to get
But they
people.
water down their content, so as kids stay with the program, or they just want the initial freshman tuition in there.
That's in there for it. That I don't know, because we've just really, and this is why I know how 4 years are struggling. Because when I started here, which was 12 years ago, most of the 4 years would not talk to us. And I can't tell you the meetings now. I've been with Conemaugh Hospital, Clarion, Penn West, Cal U, St. Francis, who want us to make all these pathways to get kids ready to then get into their courses, their upper level courses, because they're so far behind. And that's been kind of the
Credits they earned here.
yes. Yes, so we're making a lot more pathways.
Imagine the amount of loans these kids would have after being here for so many years to prepare to go to.
Yeah. No, we make it that like some of them are 2+2 agreements, some of them are 2+3 agreements. We do, actually with St. Francis, we have some 3+1s where they pay our tuition rates for 3 years and only pay St. Francis rates for 1 year. That's there for it. Yeah, so the landscape has changed drastically. That's there for it. And a lot of the problem is the science classes that they're requiring for these kids. Like IUP, most of their majors, you need a lab science and then a 3-credit science that's there for it. So we have that conversation. I have that conversation with their transfer people a lot on what do you want? You know, the bios, what goes in directly, what does your faculty want? So it's changed. So the watered down, I don't know. I don't think the upper levels, like junior, senior level, no. But I think they're struggling with that true freshman, sophomore level coming in, being so low that they can't get past it.
Do a lot of students in high school know that they offer those agreements like having 2 years here and 2 years? That'd be a enormous savings.
Oh, it is. So here's again, this
Or
is
is it
kind
only
of
just
tricky.
certain majors?
It's certain majors that's there for it, like education, for example. If you want to go be a teacher, if you're going to UPJ, I always tell students it's 2.5 years, because UPJ has 2 classes, whether you're secondary or elementary, that you have to take before they'll allow you into your uppers. So we get them compared with everything else, but then they just have to take those. But they can take them in the summer and be a true junior and then, you know, graduate in 2 years. That's there for it. Some of the state schools, we can almost do 2+2s with that. If you're going into, you know, PT, OT, you pretty much still have to get your bio degree and then go. But we have an LAS biology degree, which we can customize. We've done it for dentists, morticians, you know, people going for, if they're thinking about PT, OT, that they could do. And it does cut off a lot of cost, but the kids don't listen. And I mean, so the problem is when our people go into schools and they talk, then they're not listening, you know, they don't really listen. But we see, I mean, probably this spring, usually from fall to spring. So the freshmen going in, like last year, I know I had at least 7 people who were at UPJ for the fall who then came to Penn Highlands in the spring because they were not ready and they basically bombed everything. So we see that. And then they're like, we should have just started here. Because I don't want to, we're not easier, but we have such small class sizes that we can give them more, and I don't let them slack in a lot of the stuff in biology. I'm like, do it again. And see, I can do that though. You know, I have that ability that's like, you keep doing that lab report. So I tell you it's right, because you need this if you're going to go on in this major, where you guys don't really have that ability a lot of time. And you have parents, you know, down and they're calling the schools, like, pass my kid. I'm like, I don't have to pass you. So you're just, you know, which is nice on this side of it. So I wish they'd talk more about those pathways that we have and everything, but I just don't think the kids listen as much as they should for it.
Mine's made up.
And some of it's the parents too, because some are like, you're going to Penn State. Okay. Great, go to Penn State and flunk out after 1 year, but whatever you want to do. Because a lot of the parents, I still think, are under the impression the name of the college really means something and where you get the degree from, but I don't think that's true so much today.
I constantly have conversations with my students of doing community college before they go. I say, I see no value in going for a bachelor's with this big name. I say, try to get it, because nobody really cares. Try to get it as economically feasible as possible. I said, then if you want something that has a name on it, that's where you go for grad school. Go get a grad assistantship, don't pay for part of it, whatever. Go, and I've had multiple students that I've discussed that with, and even some of the things that you're talking about, these pathways, these articulation agreements between community colleges and 4-year programs and stuff. I have those conversations with my students more so than I think our counselors do. Just because even within my classes that I'm doing through here, I discuss a lot of this stuff, with them, and ways of, being smarter with going through college and how to spend your money. Taking classes at the community college in the summer was something that you're not very good at because the credits transfer and the grade doesn't. They're like, no one ever told us that. I said, yeah. I mean, if writing papers isn't your thing and you're going to be a business, or you want to pad your GPA, take it in community, transfer it. But yeah, it's kind of hard. One thing I wanted to ask is, because we were talking about labs and things like that. Has anybody else seen their administrations pushing to eliminate lab periods? I don't have lab periods. We don't have lab periods. So see, we've had lab periods like with all of our main academic courses. Our biology needs 7 periods a week. They have 2 double periods.
Our AP Chem, AP Bio do double periods half a year.
Our AP classes are 8 periods. So every week for the full year, they have 3 double periods with their AP classes. And when I was the partnership for my department 10-15 years back, we even started putting that in with our lower level courses. And now with the teacher shortage and all that kind of stuff, we're starting to see them start to chisel away at the labs that we have. And it's like, I wasn't sure who else had double periods until it's like we have double periods for just regular biology, regular chemistry. All of our honors classes have double periods. The APs have the 3 double periods a week. All the other ones have 2 double periods a week. Our kids have they have their 2 labs, and then the same period will have their 2 gym classes and stuff.
Yeah, see, our gyms are all year long, sure, 5 days a week.
5 days a week.
So they can't, and they don't want to mess with it.
Yeah, so we just
Too much work on the administration.
We just have it twice a week. Opposite labs.
We have 2 half-hour lunches, so I get AP physics, I get my kids that half hour. So instead of them taking some other class, so my AP kids, but that bio does that, Chem will do that, take the extra like one, because they take it in a different class in the lunch, but the regular chemistry or honors chemistry, it's 1. I know I live in Somerset School District. In Somerset, you take honors chemistry and honors physics. They do that. They meet, I think it's 2 or 3 days a week, an extra. And then I know like my son took gym was his extra, but it was year long. So it worked out to be that it worked out. I know Somerset does that kind of, say 8 periods a week is what they need for their honors physics, honors chemistry. That's right.
And one of the things you can let your administrations know, though, that if they want to continue offering like dual enrollment, especially with the sciences, we have to, because of the NACEP accreditation of the programs, we have to show that the hours are the same. So that becomes a problem. Like if they cut time from your classes, and then if it can't equate to like the same hours, then technically we can't have you offer that class at your school because of that. So I mean, maybe that's something good to tell administration too, if they look to start cutting too much, that, hey, you could jeopardize not having these kids being able to take dual enrollment classes. at least from us.
And that's big now, because from what I understand is through the state, they're being required to offer the dual enrollment versus, at least that's what I'm hearing from my administration. They're like really starting. They really,
I think they get something in that
yeah,
building score.
right.
Cause that's why
It's all about your.
It's all about,
That's why I would've jumped on a whole bunch of different dual enrollment offers.
they're really, my administration's really pushing. We have one of our counselors who's phenomenal, who was kind of like spearheading the whole dual enrollment type thing in our high school without any, like no extra pay, like she was taking it on. And they told her, yeah, you're not doing any work because you're not promoting it. And she promoted that. But they're like really pushing. But like you said with the hours, like I have to have my geology course offered during this period. We've discussed this because the way we do lunches, we do 3 half-hour lunches. So our 6th period class is an hour long.
See, that's the way ours was, and that's when I had mine.
Right.
They redid lunches. So
Yeah.
mine's a regular class period and I struggle to get everything covered.
Right. So that's when I have that month, because I just barely make it having that hour.
And that's what, like, I know some of your schools also offer like St. Francis dual enrollment or the Mount dual enrollment. They're not accredited, so they don't follow the same rules. So that's why sometimes you might wonder, why do we require you to do this and those other schools don't? And that's the reason, because they don't have the accreditation to hold to those standards that is there for it. So they're just kind of like, yeah, that looks good. But what I always like to tell students is, why would you take a dual enrollment class, especially for the ones we offer? Because guess what? St. Francis, the Mount, IUP, our Bio 1 goes right into theirs. So if you take the Penn Highlands credit, our cost, doesn't matter if you go to St. Francis, you can transfer that credit right into St. Francis. And that's what a lot of parents don't understand. They're like, well, I'm going to take St. Francis dual enrollment credit. Why? Why are you going to pay that price when we offer here at Penn Highlands the same course for a lower cost? That's for it, and it's the same class. So, because I hear that too from people, they're like,
Paying for the dorm for the kids this year. Our school got a grant that paid for all the kids.
is Johnstown still paying? Do you guys still? I don't think you guys do pay for all of them
I
anymore.
don't think we used to, but I don't think anymore.
Yeah, I know you used to, but I think some of it's out of
And all of
pocket.
our COVID, and then this year was the 2nd year they've done.
Mhm.
Said they got a grant somehow.
I'd be interested in what they're thinking, because like I said before, I was here in Highlands, and then I had to go to CCAC, which is our county community college. And I don't know what they did, but they got grants. I mean, it was almost every year they were covering one semester or the other. And I think even last year we covered both semesters. And the community college paid their tuition to the grant. We didn't have to even do it through our own school. So I don't know what's out there, but that's
Yeah, because they had to set something up here at Penn Highlands for our kids to go on and register without paying.
Right,
And then they sent a bill to the district was paying the bill.
right, and
That's the same with our kids as well.
Yeah, I see that. You said that. I think Lindbergh has they got so many scholarships.
Yeah.
However, they were.
yeah.
You know, they
Going
got
to
enough
distribute.
of this, they're just paying everything.
And CCAC is in a different bucket because there's 14 community colleges in Pennsylvania. We're the 2nd smallest. The money is not divided equally between the community colleges. And because of where CCAC is located, closer to Pittsburgh and that area, they have different things available than we do here for it. So,
they're huge. They have
Yeah.
4 campuses,
Yeah.
one on each side of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But like I said, they took care of all of it, like where you had to do all that to pay for it. Our kids didn't have to do anything. The money came right from the grant, straight into their accounts. The community college handled it all. That was one of the, maybe that was a nice, really nice part about the independence, the ability for them to cover some of the costs.
but we're nicer here.
Yes, she was. Easier on my end.
Yeah, and like I said, our assessment stuff is even easier with it. So, any other question or anything? It is 6:45. So, if anybody has any other questions, thoughts, anything I can do for you or during the semester, you guys all know how to reach me. So, or anything. But I thank everybody for coming. So it was much nicer. This was a lot easier than trying to do Zoom. I know, trying to do Zoom and
My problem is always remembering, you know.
I came back right.